Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Aspire to Inspire, where we interview industry professionals. Today, I'll be interviewing working actress Kelly Jenrette. Let me just list some of her credits for you guys so you guys can get a gist of who she is and what she's about. She is known for her roles on Grandfathered and Manhunt, Deadly Games. She received a Nomination Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series for her guest appearance on The Handmaid's Tale. I'm just going to bring her onto our virtual stage. I am so blessed and grateful to have her with us today. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And right off the bat, when I first talked with you, I'm just blown away to have you on Aspire to Inspire's virtual interview platform where we interview actors, writers, directors, anyone within the entertainment industry. And I'm so excited to hear your story of how you got to where you are today. I'm so blessed and so grateful. You ready to get started?
I am. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. First off, I like to start off this interview with a very open question. Kelly, please tell us about yourself, what you do, and how you got into this business of acting.
All right. Well, I identify myself as a Christian Black girl from Atlanta, born and raised. Acting is something that I've always been passionate about, but very early on, I did not know that it was a career. I said, growing up, I said that I was going to be a lawyer who did hair on the side. Clearly a very creative brain because I've not met a lawyer yet who's like, yeah, I got time to do hair. Um, you know what I mean? So I did plays throughout elementary school and high school, with my church, any place I could perform, I would. But when I graduated from high school, I went to Xavier University because I was going to be a forensic psychologist. And 2 years into that major, I was like, nah, I think I'd much rather be one on TV. So I transferred back home and got my degree in theater from Georgia State. And it's been a journey ever since then. I did a lot of plays in college on both sides, both the acting side and then the production, which I was grateful for. That was part of the requirement that you had to do the production side. So learning that aspect as well.
Wonderful.
And then from college, I went on to work with different theater companies, Merry-Go-Round Playhouse in upstate New York, which was amazing. We got to tour all over upstate New York, which is very cold.
No, I'm born and raised in Philly, so yeah, New York.
Being from the South, when we hear the word ice, we're like, oh, well, go to the grocery store, buy up everything. So to be in upstate New York and I see all this snow, I was like, oh, well, I guess we're not going to work. And they're like, we're going to work.
Right.
But that was a wonderful opportunity. And then moved out to California and struggled a bit, but kept going. I stayed here. I got in class, did workshops, did lots of theater out here. And then finally, 8 years after being here, I booked my first co-star role on a show, Happy Endings, in 2013. And then 2015, booked my first series regular role. And it's just been going nonstop since then.
Yeah, as it should. One thing, just hearing from people's stories that I admire from fellow artists like yourself is from your whole story. You mainly touched on a lot of things, but your consistency is what brings you to where you are today. You didn't stop, you didn't quit. And I think unfortunately, that's where a lot of people fall short with. They kind of give up, they kind of quit, and they settle for what's comfortable or what's in front of them. So as a fellow artist like myself, a fellow actor, and for viewers who will be watching this who are actors as well, we commend you for continuing and keep going and for you to strive for what you want in your career. And I can go on forever and ever just expressing gratitude of not giving up, because doubt and being in your head, that's a whole nother story. That is a whole other story.
It is. You have to make up your mind on a daily basis that this is what you're going to do. And I think for me, understanding why I was doing it, you hear people talk about like, well, what is your why? And for a long time, my why was me. Like, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to act. I wanted to make a living doing what I loved. And in 2014, I just felt like I needed to make a shift. And I asked God, like, okay, what is the assignment? Like, my
Right.
gift is bigger than me being on a TV show. I don't believe that God has given me this gift for myself. That's rarely how things work. And by rarely, I mean ever. It's nothing that's just like, oh yeah, well, you just go enjoy it and then that's the end. And so I feel like when I began to ask that question and began to put myself in a place of service to others, sharing with others, I feel like the doors really kind of began to open for me.
Yeah. Don't get me emotional over here. What is this? The first 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, you already hit on something that's just so important to me as a person. I'm a Christian as well, and for you to be so open about your faith, I truly admire that. Yeah, just being of service. I swear that's the secret to life and just all things, period. Be of service and God will reward you through blessings and, allow you to be a blessing for other people by doing what you love. Whew, don't get me emotional. But just moving on, real quickly, you touched on something that actually transitions into my next question about rejection and having to be consistent in what you're doing and not letting doubt get to your head. From people who aren't actors, they kind of have let's say, a misconception about how this business works and how kind of actors kind of do their day-to-day job, In your personal opinion, Kelly, could you tell us one of the major misconceptions you may have heard about your job as a working actress in this entertainment industry?
Well, one, that it's easy. It is not easy, and there's this idea or misconception of overnight success. I've not met the person who has been an overnight success. It's kind of that thing like you don't see a person and then you do. And then you're thinking like, oh, well, because I haven't seen you, then,
Right.
it was an overnight thing. First of all, I have entirely too many emails in my email account, like over 20,000. I am ashamed, I will admit. But my emails go back as far as 2011. And the amount of auditions that I had, and the amount of no's that I received far outweigh the amount of yeses that I have received. And so rejection happens more often than, hey, you got the job,
Sure. Yes.
Just because you have a job doesn't mean that now it's easy sailing. I was on pins and needles with All American Homecoming. Like, are we going to get a second season? Will I have a job in the fall? Do I need to start auditioning for other things? What else is it that I need to be doing? So it is not easy. The amount of no's you receive far outweigh the yeses, and yet and still you have to keep going if you so desire. Like my acting teacher, her motto is have fun or quit. And I love that. And it's like, if you're not having fun, then it's okay to quit. And quitting doesn't mean that you're a failure. It simply means that this isn't something that you enjoy doing outside of, like, if God is telling you to get it together, then you get it together and you allow your feelings to catch up with what it is that you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
But if you know that this isn't something that I should be doing, it's okay to quit.
100%. Quitting comes with a negative connotation with it.
Yeah.
When you quit, you're just done with it. But I think there's also beauty in, quote unquote, taking a break or stepping away.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power with that because it
Mhm.
realigns you to, let alone get your priorities in check, think about why you want to do this, tying back to what you were saying about your why you're doing this for yourself. And yeah, I appreciate you talking about how quitting doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, even
Yeah.
though automatically when you quit, you think you're like, it's over, you're done.
You think you're a failure.
Yeah, you automatically think of failure. When I think of quitting, I thought of failure as well, but that's not always the case. And
Mhm.
there's beauty in taking a step back and reevaluating. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Absolutely. That's one of the things. Sue Hamilton is my acting teacher. That's one of the things she said. It's like, you can quit for a day. You can quit for 3 hours. You know what I mean? As you said, to take a step back, to get perspective, to remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I love this craft? Why do I hate it? Why am I happy? Why am I miserable? Just having constant communication
For
with
sure.
yourself surrounding this business, I think it's so important.
Yeah, it is. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that. That's like one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people don't understand. And I appreciate you for going so in depth with that.
Yeah.
And just moving on from that question, coming from you who's been in this industry for a while and hasn't given up, I just admire that right off the bat. What are some ways that you've handled rejection and those no's? And you stated before, having that email chain of auditions that you've gotten, the no's outweighed the yeses. So how did you keep yourself motivated and handled the industry that always tells you no? What was your process of navigating through that?
Well, it was definitely a process. I think early on, it's like the kid who can't have what she wants, so there is a temper tantrum and like, I know I'm good and why is this person booking when I know I'm better than them and they don't even really care. And it was a lot of like comparing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of outward like, I can do it. Why are they being able to do it? And then I think as I began to grow, um, as an individual and especially spiritually growing, like that, my faith is so much of my identity
Mm.
and is responsible for the groundedness that I have. But
Mm.
it took me many years to get to that place. And so before then, it was, as I stated, the temper tantrums. But as I began to grow, it was like, oh, well, God doesn't want me in that place. And if
Mm.
God doesn't want me there, why do I insist on trying to be there? And I think it just got to that place where it was like, oh no, oh, okay, great, well then where am I supposed to be? Where do you want me to go? And
Mm.
that took a lot of pressure off, a lot of stress off, a lot of the temper tantrums. Like, why are you throwing a temper tantrum? The answer is no, I don't want that for you. Like, it reminded me of this picture I saw on Instagram. There's
Mhm.
a little girl who
Yeah.
is like crying over not being able to have this little bear, and then
Mm.
behind the back it's like this huge teddy bear. And
Right.
so it's like, and not, it's not always like, oh well, the thing is going to be better or
Mm.
bigger that than the thing that you didn't receive,
For sure.
but it's going to be better for me. It's
Mm.
going to be bigger for me. And
Yeah.
so I think that's being rooted in Christ, in God, trusting that he has a plan for me. And a no is simply like, it's just no. And
Yeah.
that's okay,
That is okay. That is 100% okay. This whole industry is based off of no's, and really how you handle the no's deciphers the longevity of your career.
Hmm.
And for you, oh my goodness, I love when people talk about their faith because I am a Christian as well, and just you knowing that the foundation of all things, your spiritual well-being, your faith, it has to be aligned, so to say. It has to
Hmm.
work in tune for you to continue and have that consistency to be where you are today. And
Yeah.
sheesh, I just love interviewing people. I love talking to artists, people like you, because it just shows how much you love the craft and you're willing to share your journey with people who will be watching this. It's just, I admire it so much. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And just moving on with that being said, you know, this industry is not based off of overnight success. It takes hard work, it takes dedication, and it takes a lot of training as well. Real quickly, I'm actually interested in hearing your standpoint. You talked about you go to acting classes, so that's always important. Could you dive deeper into the importance of actors training and the significance behind that? Because you can't just wake up one day and just get into it like that. I mean, people have gifts in different ways. If that's their gift, allow them to continue to do so. But training is such an important asset to hone the craft and to understand the craft of acting. And there's a lot of things we need to know. So in your personal opinion, can you just talk about the significance of training, you know, even if you want to start off as an actress or actor, like talk about why it's important to train as a working actor in this business?
Yeah, there's a proverb that says, it is not good to have zeal without knowledge, nor to be hasty and miss the way. And so I think you can be passionate about a thing, but you also need to have knowledge in how to maintain that passion, maintain your abilities. And so I'm still in acting class because I want to continue to sharpen my tool. I want to gain new tools. You know, I don't know everything. And in the acting class that I'm in, there are all levels of actors in the class, which I love because just because I'm Emmy nominated and I'm a series regular, I'm a working actor, doesn't mean that I can't learn from someone who is just now getting started. They have a fresh perspective and they're seeing things through a different lens that may have been dulled for me because I've been in it for so long. And there may be things that I'm taking for granted. And so I just love being surrounded by people in different levels of their career, because I feel like I can learn from those people as well as they feel like they can learn from me. So I think as an actor in any craft, you know what I mean? Like, I remember reading something about Kobe Bryant when he talked about in practice, he had taken 1,000 shots. I think it was the game where he had scored 81 points or something like that. And everybody was like, oh my God, 81 points, that's huge. And he was like, in practice, I shoot 1,000 shots. So I should be able to make 81. Like, that's how I practice. And so while, yes, it's amazing, I expect that of myself. And so that always resonated with me. And it's like, yeah, put in the work consistently, constantly, so that you are ready when you do receive that yes, and that you don't falter when you receive the no. So training is so important because you learn so much about yourself, about your craft. And I feel like it just helps you to get better.
Yeah. I mean, I still believe, still to this day, whatever you do, you have to have knowledge behind it. And training, it just builds you along the way and makes you better. And I don't know in a certain circumstance why people believe that we as actors can just go on the spot and that we just don't have to prepare anything or just do it. But there's just so much power in understanding and having knowledge of how to act or how to react and listen, you know, in that sense. So thank you again for sharing that. It's just, it's so important. And I appreciate your honest perspective and how passionate you are that, yes, I did win that, you know, daytime Emmy, but you'll see me in class still. You'll still see me.
Well, I mean, I didn't win. I was nominated for the Primetime Emmy, but
existence, you know. Without a doubt.
Still in class.
For sure. It's such a beautiful thing. And transitioning from kind of the knowledge and wisdom of this business, let's just talk about some of the work that you've done. It's an amazing list of work, to see you do, and just to see you personifying these characters. It's a beautiful thing. And a question that I'm actually really excited to ask you about is your process. How do you channel these particular type of characters, or so to say, what makes a role a great fit for you?
Great question. My process is focusing on telling the truth, whatever that truth is. I think sometimes we bring our own experiences. I have brought my own experiences into particular roles and judged the character before I even understood why that character was making the choices that they were making. And so, first, I like to read the script. Even when it comes to auditions, I don't memorize first. That's the last thing I do. I dive into the script if there's one available. And if there isn't, then I dive into creating a backstory for the character so that things will begin to make sense for me, so that by the time I get to memorizing, it doesn't feel like I'm memorizing. It's like, of course, the character would say this because this is who this person is. So it's really important for me to kind of dive into the character and trying to understand as much as I can about the character, and then filling in holes where there are holes.
Yeah.
And then from there, putting on the meat and then the clothes and then the earrings and the hair, you know what I mean? Making this a full-bodied character, but starting with the story first, and then finding the truth that I'm supposed to share of this character.
Well said, well said. There's a lot that goes behind creating the characters we see on TV. And, understanding that the words really don't matter. I'm not going to say they don't matter, but the memorization, you can't.
Right.
So you can only get so far with just memorizing lines if you don't fully understand. Why does that character say what she or he says?
Right.
Why does she or he does this particular type of thing? So it's crucial to want to walk into the shoes of these characters, because we as actors, it's literally our job to bring these to life. And
Yeah.
I really love that, just going off of the shows that I've seen you on. I got to ask you, do you have a particular favorite character that you have played thus far that you just had, I don't know, let's say you had a great time playing, any of the type of characters that you've played thus far in your acting career? Do you have one? Would you like to share? I just have to ask.
Yeah, and my answer is still the same. When people were asked about their favorite whatever, and they would always say, excuse me, it's like choosing your favorite child. And so I understand that now, because I've been blessed to have the opportunity and trusted with the opportunity to play so many different characters. Annalise from Grandfathered will always hold a special place in my heart, because that was my first series regular role. And that set was just, the atmosphere on that set was so amazing. John Stamos was a dream to work with. Paget Brewster poured so much into my life, gave me so much wisdom. Josh Peck, Ravi Patel, Christina Milian, like everybody was so amazing to work with. The writers were great on that show. That's where I met Dan Fogelman, who is the creator of one of the greatest shows that just ended on TV, This Is Us, and got to work with him on that show. The second to last episode, was able to reconnect with him again. And so just that first role of Annalise on Grandfather will always hold a special place in my heart. And then I got to play this character, Delonda, in this movie All Day and a Night, opposite Jeffrey Wright, who is my favorite actor of all time. And so it's just like, I got to play with the Jeffrey Wright.
Mm.
He was like this close in my face. And Ashton Sanders, who, like, his eyes are so piercing, but such a gentle soul. And
Mm.
Joe Robert Cole, the director, is such an amazing director. I loved his directing style. Um, I mean, I could name all of them. Every
Oh,
character that
yeah.
I played holds a special part in my heart. And then, of course, Amara Patterson on All American Homecoming.
Mm.
I I love playing with her. I identify with so much of who she is.
Mm.
Um, Being in her skin, it doesn't even feel like work. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, like I get her.
Mm.
And so, and working with NK, our creator for the show, and then all of the cast, everybody is amazing. So I have been so extremely blessed and fortunate in
Yeah.
the roles that I've been gifted, and the sets that I've been on, and the people and the relationships that I've been able to build.
Mm.
So it's really hard to choose just one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
listen. I bet, and just hearing you talk about, and also watching you transcended to different characters. So I know, as an artist, it's hard to channel one specific character to play because each one, you take a piece. They take a piece of you, or you take a piece of
Mhm.
it with you.
Yeah.
And oh man, I truly appreciate you sharing the significance of when meeting people and it coming full circle, working with people again. This industry, it's tight knit, it's small, so to say, but word gets around and vibrations, they get to one person to another, and people really can connect with people, and that connection can only grow for the better.
Yeah.
So I truly appreciate you sharing your favorite characters. I mean, I loved every character I've watched personally, but I'm just excited to see the characters that will come, so to
Yeah.
say. But out of the blue, this is a question that literally just popped into my head, and I just I'm kind of on a tangent when it comes to role right now, and I want to hear
Mhm.
your opinion. Do you have a particular dream role or a role that you desire to play, or just it can be anything?
Yeah, I have been asked this so many times, and I'm always like, ooh, I don't. It's not so much a role, but it is a character that I feel really transforms me. Like, where
Mm.
you have to do a double take, like, wait, that's Kelly Jenrette? Like how Jared Leto was in House of Gucci, or even Tom Hanks in Tropic Thunder. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where you were like, wait, he wasn't, and you going back and figure, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, with all the prosthetics and really transforming into a completely different character, not so
Mhm.
much a personality, but how, like, Tom Hanks, it just
Mhm.
transforms into these different characters. And so I think the dream role for me would be where I am a character that has to really transform
Mm.
physically, mentally, emotionally, into something that I've never done before.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really stretch your craft,
Hmm.
changing, the way you think, how
Yeah.
you physically appear to be. I think that's what makes the greats, they
Hmm.
really put themselves out there and reach a point of vulnerability where they're willing to change their appearance to bring light to a character. And with
Yeah.
that bringing of light, there's also bringing awareness to viewers like us who are watching. So there's just so much power in that, and to want to play these type of characters and to strive for that. That's
Mhm.
oh man, I can't wait till the day I get to witness and I can be like, wait,
Right.
what? Just to have
Right.
that moment. I think that's like the epitome of what actors are. I think that's
Yeah.
a beautiful moment where it's great. It's believable to the point where you have to double look and reevaluate and be like, what? I didn't know she was capable of doing that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm looking forward to that day. I'm looking forward to that day for
Me
sure.
too.
For sure. But oh man, I just have a few more questions for you. We're actually winding down a tiny bit, but with this entertainment industry, staying on that topic, we've experienced so much change within the last 2.5 years of self-tape world and being able to, not have that in-person connection like we used to. It's slowly coming about, but self-tape, they're kind of here to stay. But I ask you, Kelly, 5 or maybe even 10 years into the future, where do you desire to see your career, or where do you envision yourself?
Oh, that's a great question. I definitely want to still be acting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would like to direct.
Yeah.
I would like to direct. Of course, I want to be writing, even producing, providing jobs for others, um, and still just sharing light, sharing my faith. Um, yeah, yeah.
Just doing
Just
that.
doing all the things, directing, producing, writing, like all the things.
All the things.
All
No,
the things.
I envision that. And I love asking my guests this question because it's bigger than us. What we want to do, it's bigger than us. And we as creatives, I'm very empathetic, I'm very in tune with my emotions. So hearing that you want to take on the role as a director and just wanting to give individuals opportunities and make that room for them so that they can be seated at your table, I think that's just a beautiful thing. And it's also a form of service.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. That pulled my heartstrings right there. It definitely did. It definitely did. But I admire that so, so, so much. And my very last question for you, Kelly, I ask all my guests, this is kind of a closer. It's kind of why I do this show, Aspire to Inspire, within the title itself, inspiring individuals. This platform is geared for any and all type of creatives in the business who may be starting, who may be in it, who may be doing it for X, Y, and Z, but still need some form of inspiration from creatives like yourself.
Yeah.
So I asked this question, Kelly, Jenrette, how do you desire to use your platform to inspire others who come across your path?
Wonderful question. I will look directly into the camera. I desire to inspire people to understand that it is not about you, that we are here to serve. And the only way I know how to do that is through my faith, through my belief in Jesus Christ, through prayer, um, through struggle, through all of that, remaining rooted and grounded in who you are and whose you are, and being okay with the ups and downs. It's okay. It's okay. And being able to define and redefine success and understanding what is success. And just because it doesn't look like somebody else's success does not mean that you are not successful. So I guess I'll sum it up by saying, do not compare yourself. Trust in who God has created you to be and live out loud and on purpose.
Goodness gracious. Wow. Speechless. Completely speechless at this point. Viewers, you've heard it here from episode 49 of Aspire to Inspire, where we interview individuals like this beautiful individual, Kelly Brett. Honestly, I wish blessings and favor over your career. I can't wait to see what you do next. I will be tuning in. I will be supporting in any way, shape, or form as a viewer, as a fellow creative. I am extremely grateful to have graced your presence. Thank you for your time. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And for our viewers watching, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. More interviews from industry professionals will be coming to you guys very, very soon. So stay tuned. Subscribe, of course, on my YouTube channel. And until next time, thank you so much for your time. Wow. Almost had me cry.